After every losing battle, every desperate place we've been, past every breaking point of no return, somehow we'll always sing again. 'Cause we always sing again, sing again. Oh, we all rise and sing again. After every last disaster, once we've shown we've reached the end, we lift each other up on the ground and say, oh, I know we'll sing again. 'Cause we always sing again, sing again. Oh, we all rise and sing again, sing again, oh, sing again. Oh, we all rise and sing again. Never been, never is, never gonna be easy. No, no. So we need voices high and low. Though we're living through a nightmare, and we're doing everything we can, standing here together to face the fear. Don't you know we can sing again? Everybody, here's your turn to sing again. Clap with me now, sing again. Oh, we all rise and sing again. Don't be shy, you can sing with me. Sing again, sing again. Oh, we all rise and sing again. Oh, we all rise and sing again. Oh, we all rise and sing again.
Folks, let's give it up again for the incredibly talented Ines Nassara. And for our music director of the evening, Jane Cardona. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Ines. That stirring anthem you just heard is the opening track for MacDowell Fellow Shana Taub's highly anticipated 2022 album, Song for the Great Hill, available wherever you stream your music. And if everybody in this room buys a copy of it, Shana will make 50 cents. Which subtly reminds me that we've gathered here tonight to basically raise money for MacDowell. We all know that. So let's have some transparency for the fact that we are here to raise money for my most beloved residency, MacDowell. And the funds will support talented artists, our community's interpreters, whose paths to creative fulfillment do not usually promise the financial security that provides peace of mind. I'm reading a script, can you tell? But that doesn't mean that it's not coming from my heart. But I want to tell you, for those who don't know, that's me. I really wasn't doing that to get applause, but I so love seeing my name in print. You know, when I was a kid, I actually used to just write my name, Jacqueline Woodson, just to see it in print. And here I am now talking to you. My name is Jacqueline Woodson. My pronouns are she, her, and they. And I'm a writer and a 4-time MacDowell Fellow. I truly, truly, truly love this place. And my work, someone wrote this, and I'm still trying to think about it. My work is usually defined by themes such as race, gender, class. But whose work isn't? Even when we're not talking about race, we're talking about race by not talking about race, right? So themes that I've seen the improbable intersections of in a small town in southern New Hampshire. And I have to tell you, the first time I went to MacDowell was actually the first time I went to New Hampshire, which is not to say I'm not well-traveled. Now I am, thanks to MacDowell, but maybe you don't know what MacDowell is. MacDowell is a multidisciplinary residency program founded in 1907 by husband and wife Edward and Marian MacDowell. Marian and Edward had a vision and provided land in Peterborough, New Hampshire as a haven for artists to create work in nature. That dream has persisted for 115 years. On 450 bucolic wooden acres stand 31 separate artist studios, and each year around 300 artists who apply and are accepted inhabit those spaces to make work. They come free of charge and are provided studio spaces, all their meals, and the meals are phenomenal, and maybe best of all, a peer artist community. And I want to let y'all know, this was the first time in my existence that I was able to be around other artists. And for those of you who ever feel outside in your sense of belonging, you're probably an artist and need to go to MacDowell. Since MacDowell began, almost 16,000 residencies have taken place across all artistic disciplines. The MacDowell Residency Program takes place on Wabanaki, the Dawnland, on traditional homelands of the Western Abenaki people, and on, I have the pronunciation, Pagatakic people, river. And we recognize the hardships they still endure, including people like me not being able to pronounce their names, as a result of the loss of their unceded land. We also acknowledge that our New York office and the Ziegfeld Ballroom where we are currently is located on the Lenape land. We lament the devastation of centuries of warfare and colonization. Oh my God, I can't believe I cannot pronounce this word. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about colonizers. I'm talking about us. And join forces within our field of artists, communities, calling for a necessary illumination of the history and investment in the future of the indigenous people of North America. We acknowledge the continued presence and sovereignty of indigenous communities and nations today, and thank our indigenous colleagues and fellows for their goodwill in our ongoing efforts to collaborate in the challenges of decolonizing the arts. MacDowell has begun efforts to understand the indigenous people of our region through outreach to local and national indigenous communities, and by evaluating and adjusting our residency programs to be safe and welcoming to all indigenous artists. Art is a powerful tool. A tool for imagination, for reckoning, and for change. And MacDowell is committed to offering a place for such art to be made. And MacDowell is not lying. I have to tell you that I have been, as you know, is it still up there? No, now it's the lilac. But I've been a resident at MacDowell 4 times, and MacDowell was the first residency that accepted me. And I had gotten rejections from many, many residencies in my journey to becoming a writer. I won't name them because I know some of them in the room, but y'all know who you are. And now you see me, right? And you know who I'm leaving my money to. So, but anyway, MacDowell not only supported me as an artist, I want to tell you one story. When I was, you know, I'm queer, obviously. I mean, maybe not obvious for some of y'all, but for the ones of you in the room who are queer, I'm obviously queer. And and so I have 2 kids. I gave birth to my daughter. My partner, my beloved Juliet Widoff, gave birth to our son. And I'm just giving all my business out in the street. But you know, people are always afraid to ask how queer families are made, and we are always so happy to talk about it. But it was this whole thing going on. So when my son was born, around the time he was, I don't know, about 4 months, no, maybe he was a little older. He was standing. So he was about 8 months old, and I needed to finish a play. So I called up MacDowell and I said, look, y'all know I'm a new mom. I got this play to do. I got this baby crying at home, you know, and I got that 6-year-old. And can I come there for 2 weeks just to get this play finished and off to the Kennedy Center? And I did just drop the name of the Kennedy Center to say that was where the play was going because of MacDowell. And can I just come for 2 weeks to finish this play? And when I first went to MacDowell, I was young, and those of you who've been to MacDowell know lots of things happen when you're young there. And so, but I wasn't going there to do those young MacDowell things. I was going there to do the grown-up, new mom, write the play, get home. And so I get there, and I'm writing my play. And at that time, we were still Skyping, which feels like yesterday, but it wasn't. And I Skyped home, and poor Juliet's hair is like she stuck her hand in an electric socket. And the baby, you know, Jackson's crying. We have a new puppy that I got right before I left for MacDowell. I'm still sorry. And you know, there's absolute chaos at home. And I'm like, honey, they gave me a hummus sandwich today, and I didn't want hummus. And Juliet is like, do not come home. Like, she was so done. She's like, look at this that you left me with, and you're complaining that the basket lunch you got delivered to your door, you know, free of charge, so you would have uninterrupted work time is not what you wanted. Like, bye, Felicia. Anyway, so that's MacDowell. MacDowell is this place where you can go and leave your family and get your work done. But it's also, aside from supporting thousands and thousands of artists across lines of gender and race and economic class, it continues to inspire us. I just started, in 2018, I got a prize from Sweden called the Astrid Lindgren Memorial Award. And don't you love how I do that Swedish thing with the Lindgren? And Astrid Lindgren started, she's the one who wrote Pippi Longstocking, but in Sweden, she's actually on the money. You know, and can you imagine in the United States a writer being on their actual money? The day will come. But so I got this huge amount of money from the Swedish government, and I started Baldwin for the Arts, which is a residency for the people who know it, the 3 people in the room who know it. Residency for artists of the global majority, to create a safe space for artists of the global majority. And look it up if you don't know what global majority is, but you will know. And I called up Philip, I called up my people at MacDowell, and all the way along the journey to creating this residency, they supported me. They said, use our website. They said, ask us questions. They said, take our time, whatever you need, because we want the work to be continued. We want our artists to continue to be able to make work, and we want our artists to continue to make spaces for artists to make work so that this becomes bigger and better and part of a continuum. And so this is who MacDowell is. They're real. They're committed. Give them money. And I'm going to say that a whole lot of times tonight because that is in the script, but this is from the Jacqueline Woodson heart. My family hates when I speak of myself in third person, but now I'm back to the script. I want to extend a special welcome to all my fellow fellows. If you are a MacDowell Fellow in the room, then you understood what I was talking about really quickly just now. Can you please stand? Thanks for carving a path forward, artist. I don't know why this makes me tear up to see y'all standing, to know that Edward and Marian MacDowell started this dream of a thing, and here it is. And so much of the art, so many of the books you read out in the world, so many of the plays, so much of the music you hear is because of MacDowell. And to continue to hear that fabulous music, to read those amazing books, to see that great art, give us money. Since we last gathered in person more than 3 years ago, our culture has been witness to some of the greatest upheavals we could have imagined. And with each new variant, new political, it says leader here, but okay, I'm just gonna read it. Y'all know, should I do the quotation marks thing? With each new political leader and new pitfall, we have been reminded of the tenacity and necessity of artists lighting a path forward toward a more impassioned and empathetic future. These past few years have been tough. There's no way around it. But tonight is not a night to commiserate, it's a night to celebrate. To celebrate being able to gather again, and please let me know y'all are vaccinated and that we are safe, because God forbid this gets in the news as a super spreader event. In the words of the prolific Shana Taub, who we just heard, after every last disaster, once we're sure we've reached the end, we lift each other off the ground and say, I know we'll sing again. Tonight, we sing again. If you want to support the arts, or if a work by a MacDowell Fellow in tonight's program moves you to donate, all you have to do is simply scan the QR code in your program with your name and donation amount. For example, Elon Musk, $44 billion. If you'd like to tweet, post, or TikTok, and isn't it amazing that 5 years ago, I would have read and TikTok and y'all would have been like, what, TED Talk? Like, TikTok your way through an evening's festivities, use our social media handles and hashtags located above me. That's not it. At some point, look at Marian MacDowell coming into the 21st century. If like a hologram of her appears right there, I'm deuces. I'm sorry, I am so out of here. I'll take the black and white photo, but y'all don't be bringing more. In addition, on your way to your seats tonight, you pass by 2 tables holding silent auction items. The auction is open until 9:45, and you can bid on a variety of items, from signed mystery works by MacDowell Fellows, a day of champagne tastings at the Maison Krug House in southern France, or a weekend on the ski slopes of Utah, book bundles, ticket bundles, studio visits, and even one of those gorgeous 15 by 15 feet silks designed by MacDowell Fellow Portia Munson. They're stunning. They are so stunning. And when we find out who among you has a space large enough to house one of those 15 by 15 foot silks, we will connect with you about hosting next year's benefit. In all honesty, though, this is MacDowell's first year at the legendary Ziegfeld Ballroom. I took a picture of my name outside. After years of delays and a little global pandemic set us off course, we're so grateful to the fabulous Ziegfeld staff for making our opening night in this iconic Manhattan Mecca one for the history books. I'm so psyched to be here. I don't know why. I think because Cipriani, right? Every time you turn around, you're going to like a rubber chicken dinner at Cipriani. Like, this is not rubber chicken and it's not Cipriani, so give money. The original Ziegfeld Theater upon which the ballroom today sits was named after showman Florence Ziegfeld, originator of the Ziegfeld Follies revues, and it is, in part, remembered for those classic Ziegfeld Folly chorus girls. The Follies also made stars of the likes of Nora Bayes and Fanny Brice, who brought the house down on this very spot of land. And just around the same time MacDowell was getting started, hosting its very first residency fellows, Helen Farnsworth Mears, Mary Mears, and Aksa Brewster, all of them women. Tonight we play tribute to all women who subtly and subversively ignited a movement of celebrating femininity, which is not me, in its many forms. To tell you more about tonight's program and the historic legacy of MacDowell, it is my pleasure to introduce board member and benefit committee co-chair, Ann Stocklocker.
Thank you, Jacqueline. We're so grateful to have you here with us tonight, hosting this beautiful evening, and we feel blessed that you're such a vital and enthusiastic member of the MacDowell community. For anyone here who wasn't already familiar with Jacqueline Woodson, she is a rock star, perhaps best known for her National Book Award-winning memoir, Black Girl Dreaming. She's also a 3-time Newbery Honors winner, a New York Times best-selling author, a MacArthur Fellow, and, as you heard, a 4-time MacDowell Fellow. Jacqueline, thank you for sharing your extraordinary voice with us. I am Ann Stark-Locker, and I'm delighted to celebrate and support MacDowell and artists with all of you this evening. I've been involved with MacDowell for 19 years, first as a consultant to commemorate MacDowell's centennial, and for the last 10 years as a board member. I'm here tonight because I feel in my bones that MacDowell matters. In this unstable world, whether the imbalances are caused by pandemics, politics, or unfounded fears of other, providing safe spaces and uninterrupted time for artists to experiment and create is critical. To make sure all voices are heard and all visions are represented, the MacDowell staff and board work and evolve continuously to assure that artists who have traditionally had less access to resources across our country feel welcome at MacDowell. I'm proud to be part of that important effort. Like many of you who are here tonight, it is to the arts that I turn for pleasure, meaning, and nourishment. But artists cannot give us this sustenance unless they receive support from us. Because the MacDowells knew this, Marian devoted her life to preventing the non-writing of the next great poem by soliciting support, often in loose change, from patrons large and small. Since its founding in 1907, there is tremendous evidence that this Peterborough experiment has worked. Artists who have been granted fellowships to MacDowell, many of whom have been unknown prior to their residencies, have gone on to create some of our hallmark works of American culture. These important works and their creators have been recognized with 97 Pulitzer Awards, 868 Guggenheims, 33 MacArthurs, 31 Tony Awards, 18 Grammys, 117 Rome Prizes, 33 National Book Awards, and countless other accolades. Speaking of patronage, there are a number of people to thank this evening. My co-chairs and board colleagues, Amelia Dunlop and Amy Davidson Sorkin, Daryl Harvey, our development committee co-chair, whose name should be right beside ours, but who deferred to the girl power in the room as we put this femme-centered event together. To our corporate and foundation supporters who understand the value of the arts in our lives, the benefit committee, and especially Katie Firth, for their ideas and energy, and the entire MacDowell board, most of whom are here tonight. On that note, since we are finally back together in person, I'd like to mention several important members of the MacDowell family who we have lost over these recent years. Every one of these individuals loved this community and would have been here tonight. Please join me in celebrating the enduring presence of Bill Banks, Mary Carswell, Ann Cox Chambers, Ruth Fader, Edme Firth, Vartan Gregorian, Drew Hines, and Helen Tucker, who chaired 18 of these events. I would also like to thank and acknowledge tonight's honoree, Susan Unterberg, founder of Anonymous Was a Woman, for her brilliant and thoughtful devotion to the creative arts. Susan, you are exemplary in your practice, your passion, and your patronage. I cannot think of anyone who better embodies the values that we honor by bestowing the Marian MacDowell Arts Advocacy Award. Thank you. Lastly, and as importantly, I thank each of you for showing up tonight, for taking the time to think about how vital it is that we support creative artists who give us beauty and pleasure, who challenge us to engage and stretch outside our comfort zones, and who help us make meaning of the world in which we live. I would like to now introduce Andy Senchak, MacDowell's president, for a few words.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to see people in the flesh. My association with MacDowell. Oh, how's that? Okay. Maybe it's better. So my association with MacDowell began at a gala. It must have been 20 years ago. A number of years before our centennial celebration in 2007. Barbara and I were guests of Rick and Terry Stone, who are here tonight. It was at the University Club. Black ties were worn. Galway Cannell stood up and recited a poem called Oatmeal. Here is what Bobby Bristol, Galway's wife and a member of our board, told me about the poem written at MacDowell. In order to get the most out of his time, he would not go to breakfast at Colony Hall, but instead would eat oatmeal that he had cooked in a pot over the heating grate the night before. In the poem, Galway recognizes it is not good to eat oatmeal alone. What does he do? In the poem, he invites Keats to breakfast. This is one form of the magic that MacDowell takes. That evening started Barbara and me along a path that has led here to this moment at this gala. It's a path which many people have been following ever since Marian MacDowell invited them to help sustain what was called the Peterborough idea, then the MacDowell Colony, and now just MacDowell. It's a path along which you become what Vartan Gregorian, chairman of MacDowell in the 90s, you become a better ancestor. And Anne just read the names of a number of our better ancestors. A better ancestor is one whose work is not about you, but about MacDowell and the creation of art. You give expecting nothing in return, and in return, MacDowell gives you a chance to leave the world a better place. That's what art does. At our last live gala, I introduced Philip as Cheryl Young's successor. Philip had a pretty short honeymoon. COVID shut down our New York office and our Peterborough residencies. The aftermath of George Floyd's murder supercharged the social justice movement. DEIA took center stage. the MacDowell colony became MacDowell. Changing our name was the easy part. The hard part was working through what MacDowell was going to be in light of the social upheaval and artist studios occupied by area doctors during COVID. Philip has led MacDowell through an intensely difficult period. He deserves enormous respect for what has been accomplished. Philip's passion for art and social justice challenged our successful, but perhaps too comfortable organization. We are now more successful because we're less comfortable. Please raise your glass to Philip. We thank him. Like Vartan, Tania León is one of my better ancestors. 10 years ago, I had a real breakfast with her at Cognac on Broadway. I was recruiting her for the nominating committee. She told me what a meaningful commitment to diversity at MacDowell would require. She was right. I thank Tania. And I really, Tania, you're right there, right? I don't have my glasses on. Thank you. There are three other people in this room who I also come to mind who embody Marian MacDowell's spirit. Anne Stark-Locker, Christine Fisher, and Amy Davidson Sorkin. I applaud you. I really applaud you. Thank you. There will be others, some of you in this audience, who, like myself 20 years ago, do not know that they will become a better ancestor. I encourage you and cheer you on. You will fall in love with the magic that is MacDowell. Thank you.
Hello. Hi there. My name's Ethan Lipton. Thank you. And I was a MacDowell Fellow for 6 amazing wintry weeks a few years ago, and I was working on turning Thornton Wilder's play, The Skin of Our Teeth, into a musical called The Seat of Our Pants. Thank you. It was a productive and, I would say, profound experience for me being there. What meant the most to me, I think, was spending all of this time around generative artists working in all these different fields who were so full of doubt about the work they were doing. It really cheered me right up. It did. And it didn't seem to matter whether they were sort of new to their practice or whether they'd been doing it for 3 or 4 decades. Just about everybody who I spent time with or even had a short conversation with at dinner seemed to bring this sense of not knowing to their work, and it was this great reminder that not knowing is the job of art making and that it's the gift that we have to bring to it when we are brave enough to do it. The thing that is so astounding about MacDowell is they have all these resources, this studio space that they give you, and time and distance from the concerns of the world, nature, community when you need it, and isolation when you need it, food, and I have to say it's not just sustenance. It's a deeply felt, nuanced food narrative. It's a journey from yummy meal to yummy meal. I could really say a lot about the food dramaturgy at MacDowell. It's sensational, but all of that stuff together creates this foundation of solidity and sort of well-being and care that allows all of this not knowing to kind of swirl around and flourish, and for people to make cool stuff. The stuff that I was working on when I was up there was this Wilder adaptation, and Wilder is like the patron saint of MacDowell. He's mentioned all over town, and there are plaques to him, and his name is in half of the studios because he was there so often working. And for me to know that he spent so much time there engaging his place of not knowing was really meaningful. We're going to hear a song now that I wrote when I was up there. The musical, like the play, the world is ending, and so Mr. Antrobus has sent word home to his wife about all the cool shit he invented that day. And his wife is actually more concerned about the iceberg that's coming toward them and the temperature that's dropping, and so she's peppering the telegraph boy for questions. And when the telegraph boy is done telling her what's going on, he asks Mrs. Antrobus, "What am I supposed to do with this information that the world is ending? I have a family too. What am I supposed to tell them?" And so Mrs. Antrobus and Sabina, the maid, give him what feels like to me the only reasonable advice in that circumstance. So please welcome Judy Kuhn, Carmen Ruby-Floyd, and the music director, Jane Cardona, singing my song, "Stuff It Down Inside."
Gather all your fears, fold them in a pie, seal it with your tears, and bake that thing on high. And when it's done, my dear boy, don't even bother looking for a knife. Just open up right here, boy, and eat the whole thing in one bite. And stuff it down inside. Stuff it down inside. Keep it from your children. Keep it from your bride. You could share it with them, but there's a reason God gave us pride. So all those awful feelings could have a safe place to hide.
pack up all your sorrow into a suitcase every night.
Think about tomorrow. Is everybody gonna be all right? Find some hope to borrow from the faintest little ray of light.
Then grind it up real fine.
Pour it in a glass of wine and stuff it down inside. Stuff it down inside. Stuff it down inside.
Keep it from your children.
Keep it from your bride.
I could share it with them.
No. There's a reason God gave us pride. So all those scary feelings could have a cozy place to hide. If you're having trouble dealing, just stuff it down inside.
Let's have another round of applause for Judy Kuhn and Carmen Ruby-Floyd. It's beautiful. Before we continue for the evening, I would like to extend a huge thank you to the MacDowell Fellows and performers who provided new breath to our cocktail hour programming, which you can learn more about in our print program. If you were lucky enough to get here early, you may have experienced a one-on-one play written by MacDowell Fellow, Emily Schwind, and performed by Lauren Carmen and Mahira Kukar. And deep apologies if I'm annihilating your names. They're beautiful. Or perhaps you stopped to snap a pic at the Sonia Sanchez Magnetic Poetry installation, celebrating one of the 2022 MacDowell Medalist favorite forms of poetry, the haiku. And we'd like to give another round of applause to the masterful musical fellow, Catherine Brookman, and MacDowell Fellow poet and drag artist, Wo Chan, also known as the Illustrious Pearl. And I also want to thank Ann and Andy for a glimpse into the program tonight. They skipped me before, so I had to rearrange my notes. So now I am doing what all the writers in the room know, editing. Now, as you heard from Ethan, The Skin of Our Teeth, which The Seat of Our Pants is based on, was written nearly 80 years ago by an ahead of his time, Thornton Wilder. I'd like to read you a passage which appeared in the original play script many moons ago. This is spoken by the character of Mrs. Andropus. Say it for me. Say it again. One more time, y'all. Antrobus. I did not see this play, so I never met her. Before I go, I have a letter. I have a message to throw into the ocean. Where is the plagued thing? Here it is. It's a bottle. And in the bottle, it's a letter. And in the letter is written all the things that a woman knows. It's never been told to any man. This was a pre-non-binary time. and it's never been told to any woman. And if it finds its destination, a new time will come. We're not what books and plays say we are. We're not what advertisements say we are. We're not in the movies and we're not on the radio. We're not what you're all told and what you think we are. We're ourselves. And if any man can find one of us, he'll learn why the whole universe was set in motion. And if any man harm any of us, his soul, the only soul he's got, had better be at the bottom of that ocean. And that's the only way to put it. This evening, in the spirit of Mrs. I invite some of MacDowell's phenomenal fellows to break the glass and share their letters on all the things a woman knows. Is that going to be on the screen, y'all?
Hi, my name is Kali Fajardo-Anstein. Thank you so much. And I'm a MacDowell Fellow from 2018 and 2021. And I first was accepted as a fellow to MacDowell before I had published any books. And I was overcome with fear and nervousness. I had no idea what the literary world was going to think of me. An indigenous, Mexican-American, Filipina, Jewish, and mixed writer from Colorado. And I was so afraid. And I remember I was working on my first novel, Woman of Light, and I also received the cover for my debut short story collection, Sabrina and Karina. I was staying in Hayward, and you know, sometimes we would go and we'd meet in the hall, and maybe we would party a little bit. But I revealed the cover to Sabrina and Karina to my fellow artists before I showed it on my Instagram or anybody else in the entire world. And I read from it. And my fellow artists were so overcome with enthusiasm and graciousness. And the visual artist, Michael Stamm, he told me, he raised his hand and he said, "I think you're going to make a splash." I said, I don't know, I'm really scared. Well, Sabrina and Karina came out and I was nominated for the National Book Award. MacDowell has meant so much to me. It's connected me to New York City. I'm from Denver. I never come here. I actually flew in just for tonight. And so shortly before I published Woman of Light, the very same thing happened. I went to MacDowell and I showed my cover to my fellow artists and they said, "Oh, it's beautiful, it's wonderful," and it became a national bestseller. So thank you, MacDowell. You've given me so much, and a lot of that is lifelong collaborative artistic friendships.
Hi, I'm Suki Kim. I'm a writer of fiction and nonfiction. So many years ago, I spent my 20s writing a novel. And when I was done, I sent it to a literary agent, a whole bunch of them. And rejection letters started arriving one by one, where it was over 50 rejection letters. And I had to face what will happen now, the path I was on, if I can start over from page 1 again. And that's when the next letter I received was an acceptance letter from an artist place that I'd applied that I'd never been to called MacDowell. I went to my first artist residency. I went to my first residency at MacDowell, working on my second novel, which ended up being my first published novel. I went on to write many more things, and also I went to have many more residencies at MacDowell through years, through decades, and I also wrote in different genres. I ended up going undercover into North Korea for immersive journalism. I lived with the sons of North Korea's elite for 6 months, writing an investigative nonfiction book in order to expose the world's biggest gulag. None of that would have been possible without MacDowell and its faith in me as a writer. MacDowell for me isn't just 2 weeks or 4 weeks residency time, which is wonderful in a cabin in solitude and getting to know incredible fellows over amazing dinner. But for me, it's really that gift that you embody at the conclusion of each residency, which you take with you into the real world, where you have to now continue to create art, which is often lonely and dark and impossible. So I am so grateful to be given this opportunity to thank MacDowell, which has been my consistent source of light in my artistic path. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Polly Affelbaum, and I'm very happy to say some words about my friend, Susan Unterberg. I'm a visual artist. I make prints, sculptures, ceramics, and installations. Some people call me a painter with problems, but that may be beside the point. What is so special tonight is to be here and to toast Susan Unterberg, the founder of Anonymous Was a Woman. I first met Susan through her work as an artist when we both had residencies at MacDowell. That was in 1992, but tonight, Susan corrected me and said maybe it was 93, so I'm not sure. Even though it was 30 years ago, which is hard to imagine, that time still resonates in my life and my work. So many friendships and collaborations have come from that time. In 1998, I received an Anonymous Was a Woman grant. The financial support was invaluable, but more important was the recognition, the idea that I belonged to a community of women artists who were beginning to get the recognition that they deserved. And a lot of them are here tonight, so big hug. Of course, I had no idea that the anonymous figure behind Anonymous Was a Woman was the artist I had met at MacDowell 6 years earlier, and that was exactly the point. We live in a time when everyone is seeking attention, and Susan, you did this for so many years quietly and behind the scenes. A selfless act of generosity and a commitment to what you thought needed to be done. Fast forward to 2018, when it was announced publicly that you were the founder of Anonymous Was a Woman, a big smile crossed my face. I was so honored that I knew you. It was a surprise, but it shouldn't have been. Susan, you are a true visionary. Your generosity and support for over 265 women, still growing, is making a difference. You are emboldening and building a community. I'd like to think that maybe the seed was planted at MacDowell, maybe 92, maybe 93, where so many seeds are planted. So let's lift our glass to Susan. Thank you. To you.
Thank you, my fellow fellows, for your words and wisdom. This is the impact your donation can have on an artist's work and career trajectory. Please, if you can, give generously to support future generations of artists like these. You can give online through the QR code on your program and through the auction, which is open right now, as I said earlier, to 9:45. I think that's it for here. Okay, the editing. So finally, we will be back shortly after dinner break for more performances, the presentation of the Marian MacDowell Arts Advocacy Award, and a very special song from MacDowell Medalist Rosanne Cash. And on that note, finally, let's eat. Welcome back, everyone. I know y'all are full of snapper and looking forward to the evening ahead. I really don't have that many more pages, so don't stress. I just want to, as we keep the extraordinary reach of MacDowell's community going, I'd like to remind you all that you can be part of the community by giving a gift of money. How many times am I going to say this tonight? To sustain MacDowell. If you didn't get a chance during dinner, you can donate via the QR code on the screen to my left. It's not there, QR code is not there. Okay, maybe that's my left. And by checking out the silent auction, which is now closing at 10, so you have an extra 15 minutes to bid on the stuff there, or to see if someone outbid you. I always get so pissed when people outbid me. So gifts of any size or amount. I mean, seriously, if you only have $5, we ain't gonna judge you. I know you have more than $5, but whatever you have is helpful to MacDowell. And I want to tell you about one thing that we do with our kids, my beloved and I. Every year, aside from giving them not all the gifts they want, but most of the stuff they need, because we're trying to be intentional parents, we also give them money to donate to organizations. And then they have to figure out where they want to donate to. And they have to do research, or we do research for them. So if you have some young people in your life you want to begin to teach about philanthropy, MacDowell is a great place to start. Because, you know, Aunt Sally really did not like that sweater, she lied. And we know what's happening in terms of clothing and sweatshops and all of that. So let's stop buying all this stuff. I know my shirt is really cute, and but it's so much more meaningful to donate to MacDowell. Now let's welcome to the stage Conrad Tao to perform Ritual by MacDowell Fellow and Honorary Council Member Tania León.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Forgive me, I have a few accoutrements to put in this instrument. Such a nice night. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. My name is Conrad Tao, and I will have the pleasure of playing a piece by the great Tania León tonight. And I wanted to introduce the piece briefly. I just wanted to say a couple words about it. The piece is called Ritual. It was composed in 1987. And I just wanted to read what Tania herself writes about the piece, because it seems quite fitting for this occasion. Ritual is dedicated to Arthur Mitchell and Karel Schuck, the founders of the Dance Theater of Harlem, which Tania has been a big part of. And Ritual is, in Tania's own words, about the fire in the spirit of people who encourage other people because they see something that the person doesn't see herself. It's the fire that initiates something. And so, with that, Ritual by Tania León. Thank you. And now, it is my privilege to now ask you to please stand for Pulitzer Prize winner, soon to be Kennedy Center honoree, and of course, MacDowell Fellow and honorary council member, Tania León.
Thank you, Conrad. It's always very moving for me to hear your interpretation of Ritual. Thanks. Well, my association with MacDowell dates back for about 20 years. I was talking to another composer, Andrea Clarefield, about the fact that we composers, how much we support each other. And at MacDowell, visiting the little cottage where MacDowell used to write was for me very, very moving. I was a fellow at one of the studios that have become very, very famous, Omicron. Nobody knew that that was going to happen. But I remember being there before sunset. I had friends visiting me, and there was this family of deers that would come and stare in, and I stare back to them. And it was sort of like a religious experience. They would come at the same time. It got to the point that I was waiting for them. And of course, you know, at MacDowell, we all resuscitate our imagination. It goes really wild, at least for me, going to the dinners. I had to spend time with the chickens. There was you know, I mean, you turn into the main road, and all these chickens also were like, you know, and I would talk to them, you know, and I think that they were waiting for me too. So therefore, I mean, it had been an experience, and as some fellows have already commented, we meet each other. It's like meeting the globe. Everybody is the same and everybody is different. Same in the passion, same in the discoveries, and same in the willingness to give the world the best of us, little by little, second by second. And it has been mentioned, all of the artists that have received prizes and accolades and recognitions. And for me, the only thing that I can say, and I actually remember the efforts of MacDowell's wife to make his vision last. And here we are in that lasting moment that began with the imagination of thinking about a colony to house all these incredible talents. I say that these talents are the ones that are writing the history of our time to be analyzed and discussed a century from now. All of these pieces, all of this music that is being created, all of this poetry that is being created, all of the significance of your support, those that might not call themselves artists, in believing in us. And why I say that, because I have pledged that I always going to say this everywhere I go, and I receive recognition or not. But I am the result of somebody that had a tremendous imagination when she detected that I like music, and that was my grandmother. And she took me to a conservatory, and actually she was very resilient, and she convinced the teachers to start me studying music when I was 4 years old. And the teacher said, well, how is she going to learn the theory? And my grandmother said, don't worry, she will know. And what happened is that in moments where she was drying the clothes, you know, in the island of Cuba, because the sun is hot, she made me memorize the answers of all the theory questions. So the first one that I memorized, ¿qué es la música? What is music? El arte de bien combinar los sonidos y el tiempo. So therefore, she'd take me to the conservatory, and my teacher would say, what is music? And I say, el arte de combinar los sonidos y el tiempo. Did I know what I was saying? Probably no. But that is actually, you know, what all of you mean to us artists, you know? You have an artistic drive inside of you, even if you're not doing that. Because every specimen of the human race in this planet is a genius. So I want to actually thank you. I want to ask, you know, the same recognition to the board of MacDowell and Neil Painter, you know, which I mean, have been sort of like a role model for me, and many, 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 many that we have seen in the tablets, you know, from Leonard Bernstein to the many names that right now are not there. However, their spirit is still at MacDowell. So that's all I have to say. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rosanne Cash. I'm deeply humbled by her. Kind of just went right back into beginner's mind. I'm a MacDowell Medalist, and whenever I hear anyone introduce me like that, I kind of still think, are you sure? In pride of place in my life, it ranks above the Grammys and just a little below childbirth. I like what Ethan Lipton said earlier about we all live in the not knowing. That's, you know, I've gotten comfortable with it at this point. Encouragement and support are essential for all artists, and the Marian MacDowell Arts Advocacy Award was created to honor those people, organizations who support artists in a deeply committed way, aligning with our founder Marian MacDowell's legacy and her desire to embolden artists. In 2020, the inaugural Marian MacDowell Award was bestowed on Ava DuVernay's media collective, Array. And in 2021, it was awarded to Mahogany Brown and the youth literary arts organization Urban Word, who are in the house tonight. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, it is my great honor to present this year's Marian MacDowell Arts Advocacy Award to renowned visual artist, two-time MacDowell Fellow, and founder of Anonymous Was a Woman, Susan Unterberg. Susan's work is represented in several major public collections at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I've heard of it, the Museum of Modern Art, the Jewish Museum, and more. But over the past decade, just 11% of all acquisitions and 14% of exhibitions at 26 prominent American museums were of work by women. That's shocking. Susan's observation of these inequities inspired her to try to change the status quo and open some doors for future generations. So in 1996, when the National Endowment for the Arts ended grants for individuals, Susan created Anonymous Was a Woman, providing unrestricted grants to women identifying artists over the age of 40. Yay, Susan. And for more than 20 years, she kept her identity as its primary funder a secret. To date, almost $7 million has been awarded to 265 individual artists. And in 2018, Susan revealed her identity so she could, as the New York Times wrote, demonstrate the importance of women supporting women and try to inspire other philanthropists to do the same. I've heard it said that every time an old woman dies, a library disappears. Susan works to grow and preserve those libraries of art and wisdom for us, here and now, and for the future. She has said, in essence, it is unacceptable that those libraries disappear. Thank you, Susan, for the great work of Anonymous Was a Woman. It is now my privilege to present the 2022 Marian MacDowell Arts Advocacy Award to artist and activist Susan Unterberg.
Thank you all. Oh my goodness, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for MacDowell for such a meaningful honor, and to Rosanne Cash for your amazing introduction. In accepting this award, I would like to share this honor with all of the amazing artists who have received an Anonymous Was a Woman award, so many of whom have also attended MacDowell. It is so special to see so many of you here tonight. 28 years ago, when Anonymous Was a Woman was barely an idea, I could not have predicted that I'd be standing in front of such a crowd accepting this wonderful award, partly because then I didn't yet know the longevity and impact Anonymous would have. After 27 years and 265 awardees, and another is going to be awarded on Friday, another 15 actually, and partly because I never expected that I wouldn't be anonymous. I have a great love of artist residencies and am fortunate to have attended MacDowell twice. Getting to spend time and share meals and ideas with other artists is an important way to form community and lasting friendships. And the time and space given to my own work has been transformative. For those of you who have attended MacDowell, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who haven't, imagine being in an idyllic, tiny town, really tiny, given permission to leave behind life's daily routines and stresses in order to focus just on what you love to do, with other people who have been given that same gift. Recognizing how important and generative it is to have both individual support and be in the company of other artists was the profound vision that Marian MacDowell had in creating a space like MacDowell and supporting it into the future. It is an active and direct intervention which supports artists in their work. Being at residencies also helped me understand firsthand the significance and need for direct support. Over and over again, I heard from other fellows, especially women mid-career, about how they were overlooked in the art world and wished for both more material support and recognition. These conversations with new friends would guide me as I created Anonymous Was a Woman. And as you've just heard, in 1994, the NEA stopped giving individual artist grants. And in the following couple of years, I began dreaming alongside my good friend, the legendary founder of the new museum, Marcia Tucker, about the possibility of setting up my own individual artist grants, this time for under-recognized mid-career women artists. From the beginning, thank you. From the beginning, I wanted this award to be for and about artists rather than about me as a philanthropist. And I never really thought of myself as a philanthropist until now. So I insisted on maintaining my anonymity. Also, I'm a pretty shy and private person. Marcia had the institutional clout, political know-how, and charm to get this off the ground. Handwriting notes to early nominators emphasizing the potential significance of this kind of award, especially in creating communities of direct support by and for women. Since 1996, the award itself has stayed mostly the same. In 2018, however, I decided to go public with my identity, realizing that I could also be effective by both being a public advocate and creating new kinds of direct support as needs for them arise. In the early weeks of the COVID crisis, Anonymous partnered with NYFA, which is the New York Foundation for the Arts, to issue small, need-based grants to women artists impacted by lost income due to the shutdowns. And I think we were one of the first organizations to do such a thing. This year, Anonymous established an environmental art grant, also run with NYFA, supporting women-led environmental art projects that inspire thought, action, and ethical engagement with regard to our current ecological crises. An unexpected effect of going public was connecting with other people who also wanted to support the award, and in some cases wanted information how to set up their own forms of direct support to artists. We welcome these conversations and the additional support which has allowed us to make several more grants per year. Tonight is about MacDowell. As Jacqueline said, give them money. We wouldn't be here if we didn't love MacDowell, but it is worth mentioning that in the first year of the Environmental Art Grant, we got over 900 applications and were only able to support 14 projects. A clear indication of how much enthusiasm artists are bringing to environmental justice and how much support is still needed to this end. For me, the most meaningful connection between Marian MacDowell's advocacy and my own is the conviction that direct support is the most effective way to impact an artist's life and work for the better. Thank you for recognizing my part in this shared purpose. Thank you again. Oh, wow. Thank you, Rosanne. That's beautiful. Thank you, thank you.
A little more?
Oh, here, this way.
Congratulations again, Susan. Now it is my privilege to welcome back to the stage 2020 MacDowell Fellow, the Illustrious Pearl, and two-time MacDowell Fellow, Jamie Lowe.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Good evening. Hi, I am the Illustrious Pearl. You know, I saw the original program for this evening, and they were gonna have Michelle Yeoh and Natasha León host the night, which would have been a complete disaster because I look nothing like Natasha León. Okay, so I'm the Illustrious Pearl. If you all were, oh yes, you can clap, you can scream. If you were here for the cocktail hour, you saw me, you're probably a little tired of me. You've either followed me on Instagram or blocked me. But I am contractually obligated to wear these 3 outfits tonight.
Let's hear it for the third one. Woo!
And as a professional woman, I take my contracts seriously. And now, I'd like to introduce to you the least professional woman I know. Jamie Lowe!
What up, Pearl?
Jamie, it is so nice to see you not wearing sweatpants. What an amazing night that we've had. And I know you're thinking, how could it get any better? But wait for the finale. You don't want to miss it. And not to mention a special dessert reception.
Don't worry, we aren't the finale. But this is the part of the night when we ask you to pay it forward for the arts, which is totally crucial, especially right now. I still can't believe someone put their paddle up years ago and donated money so that I could go to MacDowell. I wrote the first part of my last book there on women who are incarcerated and fighting fires in California. Shameless plug, it's called Breathing Fire.
And I finished my first book of poetry titled Togetherness, published by Nightboat Books, when I was at MacDowell in 2020. And it's a book about growing up in my family's Chinese restaurant in Fredericksburg, Virginia, being a queer teenager, and then battling deportation in my 20s. I know, one glamorous being with so much struggle. How is it possible? I also wrote about gowns. I wrote about all my beautiful gowns in my book.
So one thing about MacDowell, more applause.
More applause. Exercise those wrists.
Like, do it.
Move the deltoids. You're gonna need it.
One thing about MacDowell that is totally unknowable unless you're there is how crucial the relationships are with other artists. Even in the short time I've known Pearl, I've learned a lot. For instance, Pearl taught me how to wear a money gown and how to walk.
Show us that walk, Jamie.
Not comfortable at all. Not comfortable.
I got to sing on the same sound system as
You
Judy
tried
Kuhn.
with me, but it's failing. I almost wore sweats.
But you know, Jamie, you also taught me something. You taught me how to use Google.
I did, but it's not nearly as useful as walking.
So, now that you're walking in the light of the money gown, let's raise some money for the future of MacDowell's Fellows!
Yes, so MacDowell has some kind of magic witchery. They really, really know how to support artists. Maybe it's the picnic baskets, the fireplace at the James Baldwin Library, the hike up that mountain I can't pronounce and refuse to, the pond, the ghosts, the dinners, the all-night card games. Shout out to Cambio. Thank you. The dance parties, the cookies. Both my residencies were life-changing.
Speaking of life-changing, Jamie, I heard that you got a tattoo during your last residency. Scandalous. Is it true?
So scandalous.
Is it true?
Yes, it's true, Pearl. Good sleuthing, good investigative journalism that I taught you. One night after dinner, a few of us decided we were going to have a stick and poke night in Calderwood Studio. One of the artists had spent some of the lockdown tattooing their feet. And I saw the M on her undertoe, and it was so clear to me.
Oh my God, did you get an M for MacDowell? That's kind of iconic.
Well, it's not exactly. The M is for my puppy's name.
Your puppy's name is MacDowell?
No, sadly. He's named Morris. But for the sake of the paddle raise, and for tonight, the M is absolutely 100% for MacDowell. The M is for MacDowell.
Woof, woof. Okay, okay. So enough about us. How about that award presentation? Let's give a round of applause for Susan Unterberg. Thank you for all that you've done for artists. Okay, moving on. Now let's pay it forward to all the artists who have come and who need the time and space and camaraderie and inspiration that MacDowell provides.
And the cookies. The cookies are not cheap. I heard that it costs $10,000 for a year's worth. So let's start there. On your table, this is where we're interactive and we're all gonna do this as a room. There's a packet. Someone grab the packet. It's a white packet. It says MacDowell on it. It's pretty noticeable. You all have one on your tables.
Oh, the sound of
Okay,
packets
it's in the
opening.
middle. There's one paddle for each of you. Pass the paddles around your tables. Find your name. That's your paddle, the one with your name.
Yes, as fun as it might be to pledge with your neighbors.
It's only your paddle, your name.
Okay. Jamie, slow down a little bit. I'm hearing a little confusion in the room, a little ruckus.
Lots of chatting. Get your paddles. Become close.
Not everyone knows their way around the paddle like you do, so let's give them a chance to get ready and practice raising their paddles. Everybody, have you gripped thine paddle?
Do you have a paddle? Do you see it?
It should look like this, but with a big number and a QR
okay.
code.
I see a lot of people in the back.
Yes.
Yeah, 350. Get ready.
Oh, yes.
I see you. You're ready.
I see some names. Okay.
192 is ready.
These paddles are powerful, so do not abuse the power.
The
Be
power of the
serious.
paddle.
Okay. So, let's give everyone a chance to practice. Grab your paddle, warm up your shoulders and your wrists.
Get ready.
We're gonna count to 3.
It.
Okay. Now give them. Oh wait, wrong page. I want you to give them a vigorous wave on the count of 3. We want to see how it feels. We want to feel the breeze. We want to feel the gusts of passion for the arts fly from your paddles and strike us in the face. If Jamie's hair is not moving, then we haven't done our jobs. Are you ready? Okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Raise your paddles high. Oh my God! Oh,
yeah.
I feel it. It's
yeah.
so nice.
I mean, it looks really good, but just kidding. My hair doesn't really move. Sucks to be you. You get the point. You can wave your paddle at any time, from $10,000 to $50. $10,000 funds a month-long fellowship.
We do have a goal, and if we reach it, Jamie will show anyone her tattoo. But she'll probably do this if we don't reach it.
It's true. I probably will.
So, we're going to go from high to low, and our goal tonight is to raise $100K in fellowship funding for future artists. We want to thank some special people who could not be here tonight, but who wanted to help kick off this paddle raise, and together have already contributed $30,000. So, yes, let's clap.
Let's hear it for that, $30,000. That means you guys are only responsible for $70,000. That's not that much.
That's half my wig.
You got it.
So, let's get this ball rolling with some high rollers. Who will raise their paddle to fund a month-long fellowship? Drum roll. For $10,000, pledge $10,000 to fund one fellowship for an artist. Fellowship for one artist. you know.
Oh,
I
I
see a
see
number.
203.
Thank you so much, 203. Thank you, 203.
Number
Anybody
203,
on the right?
an excellent area code, an even better pledge. Thank you. Woohoo! That's great. Only 60 to go. I'm good at math. I might be an artist. And pledge $5,000. Fund 2 weeks for an artist.
2 weeks.
I see 149.
Thank you, 149.
I see 209.
I see 209. Thank you so much.
276.
216.
216.
Thank you, 216.
Amazing.
Thank you, 276.
I
Let's
can't
keep the
add all
applause
that,
going.
but we have some still to go.
All right,
We're
all
doing
right.
great. That's amazing.
Okay.
Okay.
179. Thank you
Woo-hoo!
so much.
Thank you, 179.
All right. For $2,500, raise your paddle to maintain a studio for 1 full year. Oh, thank you, 129.
Do I see 255 and 146? Thank you both so much.
I see a paddle from 319. Thank you so much. Keep the applause going.
And 177. Woo! Thank you,
177.
sir. Thank you.
Oh, it's so hard with these lashes. Are there any other numbers out there? Okay, we can move on, Jamie.
Anybody want to stretch with a paddle in their hand?
Yeah.
It's okay. All right, fine. Did I just do 220?
I did 220, 2,500.
Okay, pledge $1,000 and feed an artist for their entire stay. Ooh! Woo! Okay, 227, 275, 217, 266, 210, 144.
Thank you so much to 297. Thank you to 310. Thank you, 107. Thank you so much for supporting the arts. Thank you so much, 310. Keep the applause going.
Yeah, this has made it clear I need to go to the optometrist.
The food is what everyone remembers, along with the friendship.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
everyone.
so very much.
This is going so well.
And now, I'd like to open it up for the $500 donation to fill a Fellows picnic basket
Picnic
for
baskets?
1 month.
Crucial. Picnic baskets are crucial.
Raise your paddle for 500.
202, 271, 208, 268, 204, 271, 207, 218, 219. Thank you.
Thank you so much to 199. Thank you for your donation. Thank you, 196. Thank you for your pledge. Oh, and thank you, 239.
Amazing.
Did I miss a number over here? We're trying to take turns speaking because we need to get along.
We don't know how to do that. We're artists in money dresses.
We're artists in money dresses. What about us says that we're good at collaborating?
Okay. The next level is pledge $250 to help maintain MacDowell's fleet of bikes. We know how important the bikes are. You gotta keep them going. They're fast, they're furious. They go up and down the dirt paths. $250. Okay. 153, 505, 504, 224.
Thank you to 233. Thank you, 236, 291. Thank you so much. Thank you to 232. I saw that. Thank you for 294. And thank you, Paddle 301. Thank you so much. Give yourself a round of applause.
One more in the back.
Oh, one more.
408. Did we get
294. Thank you
408?
so much.
And
thank you,
408.
408. Thank you so much
You
for
guys
keeping
are
our
amazing.
bikes up to speed.
Amazing. All right.
And now, I'd like to ask you for the $100 pledge.
Woo!
The Benjamins, all the Benjamins for all the cookies.
Bring it all up. Bring it all up. All right. 142, 147, 154, 131, 151, 269, 260, 327, 324, 328, 228, 135, 133, 230, 175.
Thank you, 230. Thank you, 175. Oh, you're moving. This is Okay, 175, thank you so much. 119, 110, thank you so much. Oh, your head's blocking. 198, thank you so much. Paddle 119, paddle 249, thank you so much. 360, thank you so much. Paddle in the back, 358, thank you. 288, I see you wiggling, thank you so much. I'm so glad I went to LensCrafters before this. Thank you, 351, thank you, paddle 412, I see you all the way in the back. I see the arm with 348, thank you so much. And paddle 405, paddle 351, thank you, paddle 358, and paddle 171, paddle 322, and paddle 305. Give yourself a round of applause.
Woo!
Paddle 233, and paddle 236, and paddle 235, thank you.
Sorry, 154, 161, and 270. Coming up in the last minutes. Thank you.
All right. We're about to see something beautiful here tonight, aren't we?
All right. And now you can pledge $50, and you should do this just because you're here, and we have gone through a journey together, and it has been so fun.
Now wait, before you raise your paddles for this last part, we should let you know that how do they scan the QR code in the front, right?
Yeah, so you scan the QR code, you can meet at the back and sort of check out, settle your tab, do all the things you need to do.
All right.
You know, pledge the pledge.
For the pledge of 50, we can see
50.
something beautiful.
Okay.
Raise your hands to pledge 50.
There's a lot at the back table. I don't know if I can see that far. Okay.
Jamie, you go first.
Okay, all the way in the back, we've got 394, 396, 399, 398, 400, 393, 121 up top. Woo, look at this table
Paddle
over
175, thank you. Paddle 176, 173, 226, thank you so much. Paddle 237 for $50. Paddle 345, thank you so much. Paddle 300, thank you. Paddle 223, paddle 361 and 362, your neighbors to each other. Thank you so much. Paddle 241 in the beautiful red hat. Paddle 127 in the wonderful dress up front. Thank you so much. 113, I love your shawl. Wow, this is fun.
$50 gets
you go, Jamie.
Too. Okay.
I'm responsible for this side.
510, 156, 209, 207, 203, 204, 208, 260, 331, 276. Is that 383 in the back? Oh, God, I need glasses. 337. I need better glasses. Okay, 181.
Paddle 192, thank you so much, in your cream cashmere sweater. Paddle 371 back there, waving back and forth. Thank you so much for your pledge. Paddle 364, 360. Oh, what's going on?
Oh, did we hit the mark?
Paddle 369.
We don't have the screen.
Thank you, 367. Thank you so much.
214.
If this room doesn't smell like underarm, we're not doing it right.
You guys are amazing. We did it. Okay.
Please scan the
I don't know
QR
what to say. This is my first paddle race, and it's amazing. And I learned how to walk.
Scan the QR code on your paddle or settle with the folks up in the front.
And you can always, yes. Thank you so much. And also, feel free to make another donation if you feel like it. If you don't want to raise your paddle and you feel like you want to maybe go over $10,000, you're totally welcome to. There's no one stopping you.
Okay. And now, without further ado, yes, you can cheer one more time. It's fine.
Woo! Let's give a round of applause for this room. Good job. You guys did amazing. Thank you.
And now, without further ado, it is our privilege to introduce to the stage the Executive Director of MacDowell, the phenomenal
Philip Hemberg. Woo!
Good evening. What an extraordinary night. As some of you may know, I have spent a large part of my professional life in the world of live theater, and I suppose it is part of my DNA to revel being in this room for real with you all. It's nothing less than a poignant expression of what it means for me to be alive and to be human, and grateful. In the spirit of that, may I take just a moment to thank the MacDowell Board of Directors under the leadership of Madam Chairman Nell Painter and President Andy Senchak for their ongoing commitment to the support of artists. And there are not enough words, there really are not enough words for the exceptional MacDowell staff. Our New Hampshire employees, under the leadership of Resident Director David Macy, have functioned like residency first responders, pivoting endlessly as we opened our doors, assuring that our artists could do their work, flourish in the beauty of nature, and find safety. And to our New York City staff, most of whom have been focused recently on producing this evening, my gratitude truly has no bounds. A holler out to Stacy and Brett and Gina and your team, and also to Saoirse, the director of this extravaganza. Saoirse, all of you rock, and we are so, so grateful. I have recently been cataloging my overwhelming collection of playbills, stage programs from over half a century of theater going, which I have dutifully saved and moved in boxes over and over again, even when my sweet husband would question why. You know, he'd say, they're all online now. But still, clutching the real playbill with each image of a play title, an entire story is conjured. When I think about MacDowell and the headwinds of the last few years, I am reminded that what is at the heart of MacDowell is, in fact, the art of storytelling. Stories unfolding through literature, music, visual art, theater, architecture, film, and an interdisciplinary way of seeing the world. Well-told stories are the pilot light that kindle human understanding, and stories are also the beacon of human aspiration. There may never have been a more critical moment in recent history than right now, at this juncture of our shared journeys together on this planet. Of course, there have been many other perilous moments in history. How we make sense of this lies in our creativity. In the wake of the tragedy of 9/11, journalist Margot Jefferson observed, "History cannot exist without the discipline of imagination." The spirit that is MacDowell asks us to hold on to the fierce and indisputable belief that if anything might change the injured narrative of our world, those seeds lie within the imagination of risk-taking art makers. For who else will ask us the deepest questions? Who else will endeavor to show us the truths? Who else will provoke our discomfort and move us towards transformation? I am not putting the burden of artists to change the world. I am asking all of us gathered tonight, we who cherish independent and brave vision, to work endlessly so that the freedom of expression in a democratic society remains our touchstone. I wish to acknowledge yet another Edward MacDowell Medalist who is with us this evening. 2019 Medalist in Visual Art, the singular Charles Gaines. I want you all to know, if you don't, that Mr. Gaines's public art installation, The American Manifest, Moving Chains, opens this week on Governor's Island. This sublime installation will literally and figuratively change the landscape of our city's brave and endless commitment to the arts, and we thank you, Charles, for contributing that. I also want to mention that one of our MacDowell Fellows, who I think is here tonight, was just named a 2022 MacDowell Genius Fellow, and that is Sky Hopinka, the great filmmaker. Sky, are you here? Yeah, congratulations. We're so proud of you. Writer Margaret Rankel, whether it is a painting or a film or a play or a dance or a poem or a novel or a sculpture or a symphony or any artifact made by restless, curious, questing human mind. A great work of art finds its completion in the restless, curious, questing mind of the person who encounters it. And there is no predicting how that act of transformation, that experience of utter intimacy, might unfold. And so all of us learn to live, as Rosanne Cash just said, embracing best we can the unknown. And so finally, let me share with you from artist Miranda July an invitation, a provocation, as we move back into this night and into tomorrow. Look at the sky. That is for you. Look at each person's face as you pass on the street. Those faces are for you. And the street itself, and the ground under the street, and the ball of fire underneath the ground, all these things are for you. They are as much for you as they are for other people. Remember this when you wake up in the morning and think you have nothing. Stand up and face the east. Now, praise the sky and praise the light within each person under the sky. It's okay to be unsure, but praise, praise, praise. And speaking of praise, an artist whose body of work in music and writing has made our world a much more beautiful, provocative, and praiseworthy home for us all. Please welcome back to the stage the 2021 Edward MacDowell Medalist in Music Composition with 12 Grammy nominations and a Grammy win, composer and author, Rosanne Cash.
I would be remiss if I didn't say to you, Philip, how much we're going to miss you. You've been an illustrious leader. Thank you. I was laying on the sofa one day, recovering from brain surgery, and thinking about quantum physics, as you're wont to do. And I was thinking about the poetry of quantum physics, the event horizon, the spooky entanglement, dark matter. Then I started wondering if the power of love was strong enough to slow the speed of light. So I wrote this meditation on the intersection of art and science and love. Light is particle and wave. Our history is written large upon the page. The star in middle age. The love that fades to black, once revealed, won't be taken back. Light, nothing can escape. The ignorance we once forgave. And the future, if we don't decide to change, the things we cannot save, but it slows to shine upon your face. We owe everything, everything, everything to this rainbow of suffering. Light is particle and wave. Refractions of this place, reflections of our grace, and reveals what we hold dear, and it slows so I can hold you near.
We owe everything, everything, everything to this rainbow of suffering. Light is particle and wave. Our history is written large upon the page. The star in Middle Age. The things that we hold dear. And it's slow so I can hold you near.
John Leventhal. Thank you.
What a stunning way to end this evening. I want to thank Rosanne Cash for giving us a bit of her heart and her soul in that number. And once again, I want to thank our Marian MacDowell Arts Advocacy Award recipient, Susan Unterberg. After our program, you'll have a chance to see a virtual gallery of selected works of the dual Anonymous Was a Woman and MacDowell Fellows projected right here above me. And I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight and learning more about the MacDowell program and the work of our phenomenal fellows. Thank you to the fellows, both near and far, who have committed their time, talents, and artistry to tonight's festivities. And thank you to our national benefit team, MacDowell and Ziegfeld staff. The staff has been amazing. Can we give another hand for the Ziegfeld staff? Thanks for making tonight a night to remember. Please continue to share our mission with your friends and family and help support groundbreaking artists who need time and space to create and collaborate and change the world. We hope you'll join us for a brief dessert reception in the cocktail space and look forward to welcoming you back to the Ziegfeld Ballroom, or the person who buys that Munson piece and has that huge place next year, but I think it's going to be the Ziegfeld Ballroom. It has been amazing to be a host this evening, and stay safe, stay well, stay kind. Have a great night.